Hey, this is Doc Yates. I'm a naturopathic doctor, registered acupuncturist, and a kinesiologist, owner of the Yates Naturopathic Clinic, and the founder of the interactive health website, Able Health. And this is the Simply Health Podcast, a show for females where I work to simplify and demystify the secrets of achieving optimal health naturally, based on my own experience in working with thousands of female patients over the past 15 years of my clinical practice. Welcome to Simply Health. Hey, this is Doc Yates, and this is the Simply Health Podcast, a show where we focus on providing a lot of health tips and answers for perimenopausal and menopausal females. And today's topic, we are going to discuss how to find a clinician and not a business person. So, yes, absolutely, I do understand every clinician and practitioner does have bills to pay and has to, has mouths to feed. However, when you go into wanting to become a medical practitioner or any type of practitioner, the goal should always be patient-focused, not pocket-focused. So, I've been in practice for a long time, and I've been exposed to a lot of practitioners directly and indirectly through my patients and through their experiences. So what I wanted to do today, now keep in mind, this is completely an opinion piece, completely my opinion. But just to give some insight in terms of how you can find and kind of weed out the good ones from the bad ones. Because I've also obviously spoken with a lot of practitioners before. And every practitioner, when they were graduating from their class, as they've been in practice, everyone knows, like, oh, you should have watched out for this guy. Or I can't believe this guy is actually practicing. Or this girl is actually practicing. Just because, whether not necessarily just skill related, but ethics related, and what their focus is on. So let's go through it, and we'll just go through it one at a time. Again, you can completely feel free to disagree with me on this one, but I feel this is an important piece in helping you, because these are the people that are going to help guide you in your health journey as well, and you want to make sure you're finding the right people for that. So we'll go through them one at a time. So we'll start with physio. A good physio, patient-focused, is going to spend a lot of time with you. There's going to be a lot of hands-on assessment. They're going to be help guiding you through proper exercises and things that you need to do. They'll be checking for strengths, weaknesses, imbalances. And a business-focused physio is where you go in, they give you some ice, they do a little bit of ultrasound, they slap the TENS on you, and then they want to repeat that 3 times a week. And if you see that, leave and go find someone who's a lot more patient-focused. I have found that most physios, and you know what, most practitioners in their heart are patient-focused. But what happens is that sometimes that the people who run the business aren't even necessarily practitioners. And they get stuck into situations where they have to operate according to how that business runs rather than according to what they would prefer to do with patients. But if you do get into a situation where you're going to physio and, like I said, you're just getting TENS, an ultrasound, and, a handout, find a different physiotherapist. The next one is chiropractic. Again, there's a lot of great chiropractors. I really find the most helpful are the chiropractors who have gone out and done a lot of the extra work. So beyond just the regular adjustments, they do a lot of hands-on work with muscles. They'll do what's called ART. They'll do Graston therapy. They'll do all these different techniques to help loosen up the muscles, because they have that realization and understanding that if you're just adjusting the joint and you're not correcting the muscles that attach to that joint, it's just going to lock up again shortly after. So the things you'd want to watch out, that would be, if you see that, that's great. That would be a great practitioner, great chiropractic practitioner, and you should stay with that one. The ones you want to watch out for is what the old chiros used to call the Flying 7. And this is the situation where you're not even really assessed. You just lay down, and they call it the Flying 7 because there's basically 7 simple adjustments, and everybody gets the exact same thing, and it's just next, 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 next. The other thing you really want to watch out for is when they're doing that, They haven't done any type of assessment, and yet they still want to do that to you 2-3 times a week, or even worse, they want you to sign up for these, a treatment plan where you pay X number of $1,000 up front so that they can do these same adjustments over and over for you. So if you're seeing that, that's a pretty big red flag. If you're seeing them a lot more focused and doing individualized treatments, working with the muscles at the same time, then you found a great one and you should stick with them. Naturopaths. This is something I can speak a lot more about because I am a naturopath and I've been around a lot of naturopaths. If a good naturopath, one, they're always going to, and this again, my opinion, they're going to start with the fundamentals, which means they need to know about your diet, they need to know about your stress, they need to know about all of those basic things in life. So diet, stress, sleep, energy, exercise. That is the foundation of these basics. If they're skipping all of that and they're just handing you out supplements and tons of them, big red flag there. Big red flag. If you're leaving with bags full of supplements, chances are they're not going right for the root cause. They're going for supplement sales. Another thing that you see along with this is when they use the practices for naturopaths where it's IV therapy for everything. No matter what your condition is, the best thing you need is not to focus on the diet or anything like that. It's to do IVs at $300 a shot. When you see that to me is a huge red flag, because then they're not trying to do fundamentals. They're not trying to get a foundation. They're just trying to sell IVs. And I'm not opposed to IVs. I used to do IVs in practice, and they definitely have a time and place. But it is not a situation where every single patient should be put on IVs, and that is a lot of practices do that. So if you see that, big red flag. Another one too, and this is a lot harder as a patient to assess, but it's what I call over-the-top testing, where every time you come in, they have to, instead of just listening, and I do testing all the time, but like when they're testing everything and things that are not related to the case, and then there's extra high markups on the tests, and then the moment they do it, then they want to repeat that testing just within a few weeks to see how things have changed. An example of this, there's types of testing you can do where it goes more in depth, and it's like it checks all your amino acids, it checks every single vitamin level. Keep in mind, that type of testing is not that accurate, and you can retest it shortly after, and it will be different. And yet, those tests are hundreds and hundreds of dollars per test. So if you're getting into that situation where they're doing this test, and then, lo and behold, you have to use their customized vitamin supplement that only they can make based on that test, which is marked up way more. I'm just saying this because this is a technique that I've seen many times. That to me is a big red flag. Again, I think testing is important, but you should be able to look at the test and discuss with your naturopath, why am I getting this test? How is it going to affect my treatment? And, what is it really going to tell us in terms of the accuracy and stability of that test? Like, is it repeatable? Functional medicine. The concerns with functional medicine, honestly, is the exact same as naturopathic, because functional medicine is basically MDs that have more of a naturopathic approach. So it's the same thing. Excess, extreme repetitive testing, a lot more supplements. The other thing that you'll see with functional MDs is there's almost like a monthly retainer cost where it's like, we won't even treat you unless you pay X amount per month to be part of our clinic. Those are all big red flags to me. That's not a patient-focused approach. So I hope I haven't offended too many people so far as I'm going through this, but I just feel this is important because I want to make sure that you're getting the best of care and you're being treated as a patient, not as a paycheck. Okay, medical doctors. Now, I can only really speak to how it's done in Canada, because Canada, everything is covered by OHIP, and in the States I know it's different. And so for MDs, they're not really getting paid that same way. But the big thing with MDs here and finding a good one is that someone who is actually going to give you time, because the way it works for them is they get paid per visit. And when they're treating you as a business, they're just trying to pump through as many patients as they possibly can. So they're literally giving you just a few minutes of their time. So you want to find someone who that when you need the extra help, they're willing to give you the extra time that you need to listen. And that's the next thing, is make sure that they are listening. So if they're kind of just brushing off everything you say and saying, and only looking at you as if you're a lab result. So you go in, you say you have these concerns, and again, not that you want to Dr. Google everything, but every one of your concerns is hitting something, and if they're not at least giving you an explanation as to why, yes or no, you could be right or wrong, and they're just looking at you as if you're a lab report, that's a big red flag. Labs are a tool to help with the symptoms, but they're not the be-all, end-all. And if you find a practitioner who only looks at you black and white as a lab report, that's something to be a red flag. The other thing, too, is that every single time you come in, it's a prescription. So if you have a concern, it's a prescription. If you have this a concern, it's a prescription. And there's just this constant prescribing, and so next thing you know, they've prescribed you like 4 or 5 medications. That, to me, is also a big red flag. You still want to find someone, even as a medical doctor, who's still trying to look at the root cause and have that conversation where they might say, let's try this. I realize that they don't have the same training in diet and nutrition, but maybe they would say, you know what, go try and lose weight. Let's get you 60 days to lose weight before I throw you on a blood pressure or a cholesterol medication right off the bat. So if you can look for that in a medical doctor, you know you're going to be finding someone who has your best intentions. So again, I hope this didn't, if there's any practitioners listening to this and you fall into the business category, sorry if I offended anyone, but for the sake of my patients and for the sake of those listening, this is definitely something you can use to kind of screen and find the good ones and wean out the bad ones, because every single profession has the really good ones and really bad ones. And it's more often than sometimes you can just find just by looking up Google reviews. So I hope that was helpful. It's also one of the reasons that we've been putting together Able Health, because what it does is it can help give you online assessments, and it can help you with all of the foundations. So it can help you with the diet, it can help you with basic herbs and supplements, exercise and rehab, so that then you can find the practitioners to what's the term I'm looking for? That practitioners to go above and beyond that, because at least that this will provide all the foundations, which to me is why I'm so passionate about this project. So this is Doc Yates signing off. Thanks for tuning in to Simply Health. If you want to learn more about health, check out Able Health. If you want to see some of the other projects that I've been working on in health, business, music, and life, please check out the links below.